to join in. Thank you so much. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining today's virtual conference. My name is Nehal Khosla and I'm your host for today. Dun & Bradstreet India, in association with Cloud4C and Google Cloud, are glad to present this virtual conference on the pertinent topic Run SAP on a Smarter Cloud. The entire series will host the thoughts of renowned thought leaders of the industry on the importance of the digital future in the current scenario. As you can see on your screens now, a couple of guidelines and a couple during the session. We encourage you to ask more questions in this session and we request you to please type in your queries in the questions section that is given at the bottom of your screens. These will be taken up in the Q&A session after the panel discussion. You can also use the chat box that is again given at the bottom of your screens to share your views with us. A couple of tips here. We want to know you more. Hence, we request you to please mention your name and your company name when you post a question. You can also mention the person to whom you're directing the question to. As you can see on your screens now, there is a Q&A section. That is how it'll look like. And there is a chat section that is displayed on your screens. We encourage you to please use both these sections in the entire webinar to converse better with the speakers and the moderator of the session. Well, this session is not only about discussions. You have a chance to win exciting Zozo Day e-vouchers by participating in an engaging quiz that we have lined up for you. As you can see on your screens, all you have to do is do the following activities. First, take part in the quiz, which will give you certain cloud miles. The top 10 will get 50 cloud miles. Next 10 can get 35 cloud miles and rest will get 20 cloud miles. That's not it. Please do ask relevant questions and share your views with us, which will give you another 15 cloud miles each. There are going to be certain poll questions that will be running. And it's mandatory to answer these poll questions to be eligible to earn the Zozo Day e-vouchers. So please wait and do participate in the poll as well. Now, let's take a quick look at the flow of. Please refer the agenda that is displayed on your screens right now. Our speakers for the day are Mr. Preetham Sahu, Mr. Tanu Tandon, Mr. Vivek Sharma, Mr. Asim Gupta, Mr. Saurav Das, Mr. Nandkishore Dhomne, Mr. Devang Badiani, and Mr. Tushar Vagal. What an eminent lineup of speakers and a promising agenda, isn't it? I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank everyone for being a part of this virtual conference today. With this, let's kickstart with the opening speaker of the day. I would like to now invite our opening speaker, Mr. Preetham Sahu, Partner Engineer, Google Cloud, to share his views with us. Welcome, Mr. Sahu.
Yeah, hi Neil. Can you give me the presenter, right, please?
Certainly, certainly. It's already allocated to you.
Okay.
I can see your screen. If you could just put it in a presentation mode. Yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Thanks everyone for tuning into this webinar series. As a part of this webinar, we'll be seeing like why Google Cloud can become your choice of platform for your business critical SAP application landscape. So I am working as a partner engineer with Google Cloud Platform.
Can I just give the call? Okay, please guide, sir. Okay, sorry. Amit will guide.
Anything, Neil? Is that?
No, Mr. Sahu, no. You can carry.
Okay. Thanks, Neil. So what makes Google Cloud different, right? Today we have a lot of public cloud vendors. So it's very important to understand how Google Cloud brings the key differentiators, right? So security has been our DNA right from the start, from the consumer side of business. When you started our consumer side of products, we're all aware of, right? Google, Gmails or YouTube or search, something like that, right? So what we did was we thought security is one of the key core DNA of our the foundation stone for any of our services, including cloud. So we believe in providing best-in-class security. When you say that, we really mean it. So I want to substantiate this fact that we own the network backbone, unlike your other CSPs or hyperscalers, right? Where they depend on other third-party internet service providers. So once the data enters Google Cloud, it is least exposed to the internet. As a result, it's least vulnerable, right? And encryption is no longer a choice on Google Cloud. So it's by default encrypted your data. Either you use your encryption from Google side, which you offer is Google managed encryption keys, or you can bring your own encryption keys as well and retain them on-prem. So there are plenty of options for our customers if they are coming from data regulatory or those data residency kind of these things, right? So also from the infrastructure side, we follow a lot of hardening processes, right? From the infrastructure, the operating layer, including the peoples and processes. So what it helps is like we depend on our own custom built hardware, unlike other cloud providers where they rely on third-party hardware vendors, right? So as a result, we don't want to invite any vulnerabilities or any issues or these things, right, at the infra level. So we take care of, and this infra has been helping all of our products you see in the market, whether you use consumer side or even from the Google Cloud Platform side. And of course, we follow all and adhere to all the industry leading standards and compliances you require. So we understand like industry is heading toward hybrid multi-cloud. So that's the reason we started almost 3 years back with our Anthos offering, which is typically a 100% software-based solution, which will help you to manage your container workloads. So if you're looking for Kubernetes platform to manage your containers, so here you go. We have an answer for that as well for our customers and partners, where you can manage your containers not only running on Google Cloud, also on-prem as well as third-party cloud vendors. And one of the Google's mantra has been to help our users to be more productive to the business. And as a result, we thought of aligning our services to no ops or serverless approach, right? And this serverless approach or no ops is nothing new, and it is there with a lot of cloud vendors. But with Google, we are trying to align most of our services going forward in this direction. As a result, users can benefit. So one such example I would like to highlight is our enterprise class petabyte scalable BigQuery, which is entirely serverless. So as a result, you don't have to focus on mundane activities like patching, managing, and all those things. Even you don't have to maintain army of resources as well to do that activity. So the entire heavy lifting is taken care by Google Cloud. As a result, user focus more on the productivity. For instance, with BigQuery, users need to upload the data, start writing SQL queries, and even extend it to data visualization with our free tool called Data Studio. And if he's a SQL expert, right? So even they can also write your AI/ML model, something like regression, classification, clustering, and all those things, right? And one of that brings to an interesting topic of here, AI/ML. With Google, we strongly believe in democratizing AI/ML. So what we mean by that is we don't want to restrict AI/ML to certain class of users like data scientists or data stewards. We want to strongly democratize across every section of users, right? If you look at your Gmail or YouTube or search, they have some sort of AI/ML embedded already in it, right? And if you are a data scientist, data steward, we give you TensorFlow, and TensorFlow is no new name in the world of data scientists, right? And it's already there as open source, and it was born in Google, right? So whatever services which you see, right, whether the consumer side or the Google Cloud Platform side, so all of these services has gone through battle tested. So what we mean by that is like we as a Googlers are a frontline users of the services, and this goes through tremendous amount of testing before even it is released as open source or even as a managed service on a cloud platform, so that we can bring the culture of innovation to our customers and partners. So let's get started on the SAP side of things with Google Cloud, right? So very few of our customers are aware. So one thing here to highlight is the key takeaway from this slide is like if you look at SAP, the key deployment platform rather from the SAP side will be S4HANA, right? And going forward, and it's a mandate by 2027, most of the applications like ECC or Business Suite will move to S4HANA. So as a result, so S4HANA is the key thing from SAP side, right? So if you look at SAP, all the S4HANA development happens on Google Cloud Platform from the infra perspective. And we have a dedicated environment in our Frankfurt region, which we have allocated for the S4HANA development. And this is being accessed by 10,000 developers and over 3,000 instances. It's a massive scale development activity done by SAP at this point of time on Google. So you can think the trust of SAP on Google Cloud, right? The other thing to highlight here, if you have heard of Alphabet Inc., so this is primarily the parent Inc. of Google, and Alphabet Inc. is into different sets of business, right? Apart from Google and cloud business, right? Like retail, media, and all those things, right? If you look at, we are one of the largest implementer of S4HANA, and we have implemented across treasury, supply chain, finance module, and are also involving like SAP Concur, Sales Cloud from SAP, and SAP Business Objects. And there are multiple activities going on apart from this core SAP applications. So you can think of like we are one of the biggest reference for SAP on the Google Cloud Platform. And we want to bring that experience and know-how to our customers so they can benefit of running SAP Cloud Platform on the Google side. So, one key thing to highlight here, when we started the journey with SAP almost 3 years back, and we had a joint activity which was co-engineered within the two of the organization, that is SAP and GCP. When you say GCP, it's Google Cloud Platform. We term it that way. So what we thought was one of the missing things, if you look at for the larger shapes, right, configurations for the, especially for the HANA, right? If you look at, we give you all those shapes in virtual machines instead of your bare metal shapes. If you look at some of the other cloud vendors, they give you bare metal. As a result, you got some upfront payment and you get vendor log. And if you want to terminate those, you have to pay penalty. With Google Cloud, whatever the shape it is, whether it's 4 terabyte, 6 terabyte, or 12 terabyte, you can start from any of the shapes. And if you are done with your activity, you just can tear it down. And the other thing to highlight, if you are from any of the industry verticals, right? If you require some of the ISO standards, HIPAA, GDPR, whatever the standards you require, you name it, we are certified to adhere to your needs. So one key thing to highlight, right? If you look at SAP, this has got a lot bunch of tools, native tools for backup, disaster recovery, high availability, right? We incorporate all those things apart from the Google side also. Google gives you a lot of capabilities where you can offset the mundane cost of running SAP on GCP. And we understand today customers have different landscapes. What I mean by that, like today, most of the customers are still yet to migrate on the S4 or the HANA backend, right? So as a result, they're on SQL Server, DB2, or even Oracle, right? So we help them, or those customers as well, to move as it is to Google Cloud, and later on they can go through the transformation journey to S4 HANA. And we have a wider ecosystem as well to support. One such example is Cloud4C or C4C, as the name resonates to you, is very popular in India, right? Where they have had a lot of successful HANA implementation where they can help you in this journey. So when we started our journey with SAP, we started an integrated care system. So what do we mean by that? We understand SAP applications are business critical and mission critical. As a result, they need some sort of enterprise level support. So as a result, when you go with enterprise level support for SAP on GCP, so what happens is we give you dedicated technical account manager to understand your complete application landscape, to handle your escalation process, incident management, and the war activities as well. So we give you a lot of these things, and all those things comes with context aware. So what happens is, if you looked at support, those guys work in different shifts, and once the shift changes, a new guy comes in, right? So with this premium level or enterprise support, what we give to the customers and our partners is like, whoever the support agent is, right, is well aware of your issue, and he doesn't have to start from scratch. So there's a warm handling of your cases so that you can give you best of experience from the Google Cloud. So we spoke about security, right? One is network, other is encryption. And the other key thing which we bring into a differentiator for the SAP application landscape on Google Cloud is the uptime, right? We understand SAP cannot afford your downtime. It's business critical. So from the Google Cloud, we offer a bunch of tools which can help you. Something is like, this is very unique to Google Cloud for live migration. Suppose, for instance, your host or goes for maintenance activity, or something happens to underlying hypervisors and all those things, it is automatically taken care by Google from the infrastructure point of view. At the same time, all your application landscape retains data and metadata so that you don't have to reconfigure all those things. And if you're looking to migrate from other cloud, from on-prem to Google Cloud, we also give you a free tool called VeloStrata as well to help you in this journey. So we spoke about the cloud native virtual machines, right? Instead of bare metals where you get logged in and you have to pay upfront, as well as you have to pay penalty if you want to move out of that contract, right? With Google Cloud, as I said, we offer you virtual machines, and those virtual machines can be pre-configured virtual machines. And one unique thing which SAP has certified on Google Cloud is custom shapes, right? If you, to all my customers, I'll keep saying it, right? If you over provision on cloud, irrespective of your application landscape, whether it is SAP or non-SAP, you end up paying penalty, right? Because you don't have the luxury of on-premise where you already have a hardware. Or if you under provision it, you have to sacrifice the performance. But with Google Cloud, that's not the case. If you have some the configuration which is not there in the predefined steps, you can always come back to us. We can help you because SAP has certified such custom steps on Google Cloud, and we are just one of such cloud vendors on that. We understand cloud is also not only about cost as well as innovation, right? If you look at all the technology SAP has, right? For example, SAP Leonardo is very popular if you're using SAP for a long, long time. It's based as an AI/ML approach, right? So that AI/ML SAP Leonardo is based on Google TensorFlow. I believe most of you are not aware of this because behind the scenes it's TensorFlow. And if you're looking at SAP API management, it's based on the Apigee, which is again a Google product who works on a cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud scenarios as well. And of course, the BigQuery, which I spoke about, right? Enterprise class serverless approach, where your less frequently used data from HANA database especially can be pushed into BigQuery. And we have got a tried integrator components where the data can be synced back between your SAP HANA to Google Cloud as well to optimize the cost. And of course, I also highlighted the joint development activity on the S4 HANA. So these are all the list of critical applications you see on this slide is certified, right? From the BW HANA, the business suite, or about the technology platform, the middleware layer, NetWeaver. And we support all of the databases you see here and the major operating systems as well, right? From Windows to SUSE to Red Hat. We understand there can be different scenarios customers are looking at from the cloud vendor, right? For the SAP applications. And one such we see a common scenario is like the migration or transformation journey or even the move, which is typically a lift and shift, right? Without undergoing any changes in the operating system or the application layer or the underlying database as well, right? So the migration piece, we can also help our customers, right? With our extended partner ecosystem like C4C, who are expertise in this area, where you want to not only re-platform our operating system. For instance, you want to re-platform your database as well, right? Once you move to cloud. So as we also understand, like SAP is not about only the technical aspect. There is also something called functional aspect when you want to embark the journey of digital transformation, right? So it involves a lot of effort. We understand that. And we have a rich ecosystem of partners who can help you. Typically, if you're looking for consolidation or harmonizing the process of data, and if you are also acquiring companies over a period of a time, you want to do merger and all those things, right? That invites a lot of complexity. We really understand that. So we are there with you at every step to help you in this journey of digital transformation. So where we see a lot of traction and momentum on the SAP side, on the Google Cloud, right? So if you see at logos, these are nothing new to it, right? Most of the logos like Colgate-Palmolive or Home Depot or even the retail fashion brand like Tory Burch, Whirlpool or Rustomjee, right? If you heard this name, these are not new, but we'll cover slightly more in details of a few of the brands and the customer success we had on Google Cloud Platform. One such is Metro. This is a German entity, and they were primarily on-premise lovers because they have been traditionally setting up the infra on the SAP for the in their own data centers. The typical issue they had was they want to cut down the cost. Of course, most of the customers look at cloud that way as well, and also they want to reduce the outages. So when they started the journey with us, they wanted to heavy lifting on the GCP side from the infra perspective. So we started there with them, and they migrated their 100 plus instances into single S4 HANA on GCP, and also the e-commerce platform onto Google Cloud. And in India, the same Metro entity of the unit of German entity Metro, they are running Hybris on Google Cloud as well. So the other key success story we had was on the healthcare segment, like Cardinal Health, and it stands at number 14 Fortune 500, and it's primarily into healthcare segment, and the verticals they address is pharma and medical. And one of the major requirement this Cardinal Health had, right, they're running the processing for all the medical and the pharma related transactions on the SAP ERP. So you can think that all the transactions goes to SAP ERP for them, and it's key for their success. At the same time, they want to optimize the cost for the healthcare services for the end user perspective. So they started with the approach of heavy lifting again from their on-premise data center to Google side, where they moved around 300 plus servers to Google Cloud to a larger SAP called 12 terabyte virtualized machine. As a result, they could cut down the infra cost of quarter over a quarter by 28%. And the other story I wanted to highlight was on the Rustomjee side. It's a very popular name in India in the real estate and construction, right? And they're already a customer of Google before they started on the Google Cloud. So they were using primarily our workforce productivity suite called G Suite. Rather, in the layman terms, you can think of Gmail, Drive, and Hangout, and all those. That completes the product G Suite. But in 2017, when we started our data center at Mumbai in India, they wanted to understand how Google Cloud helped them on the SAP side of the things, right? And they were early adapters in Google Cloud, where in India they moved their SAP landscape. So they had SAP ECC and Oracle Database as a backend, and they moved those infrastructures to Google Cloud, and they also moved away from Oracle Database to SAP HANA. So as a result, the benefit they got was they could process the invoicing and reduce the time it was taking from 13 to 2 hours, and also the ERP backup, right? with a seamless from 6 hours to 6 minutes. Of course, they could reduce the cost by 56%. So one thing we saw, right, we can give you the innovations of AI ML, the data warehousing, which can be used with SAP landscapes, right? And all these, all the innovations, right? We also understand like cost is one of the major thing also the customers look at cloud, right? To address those, very first when we started our journey with Google Cloud, we believed in the per second billing methodology. We don't want to penalize our customers with per minute or per hour basis. So that has been from the day one, and other cloud vendors have just started following us as well. And we also have different pricing models to help our customers. So one such thing is committed user discount. So this committed user discount is very unique if you think from the Google perspective, because even though the name sounds, you are committing on the cores and the memory with Google Cloud, you are paying nothing upfront. You use it and pay at a postpaid level as well. If you see any discrepancies or any clarifications need, you can always list to Google Cloud for clarification based on the usage. And we also spoke about the flexible configurations as well, right? That is very unique, the custom shapes, right? So that you don't over provision it, neither under provision it to sacrifice your performance of critical SAP applications. And we are one such vendor which SAP has certified. And each of the pricing model invites no upfront cost at all. Everything is in the side of postpaid. You use it and pay it. And of course, there is no termination fees as well. So again, recapping why SAP applications on Google Cloud, right? So one unique thing we understand is the network plays a key role for the SAP application point of view. And we provide you a lot of tools, right? If you look at infrastructure as a core tool, we have our own tool called Deployment Manager. The analogy of this thing to the IT team, they can resonate well, is like Terraform, they're using it, right? So we do not only deploy the cloud foundation network for SAP landscape, we also deploy the complex NetWeaver technology in high availability mode or SAP database as well as HANA. And all those things is like on-demand model. If you are not sure how to start, you want to start small with small use cases, right? You are welcome to do that with our on-demand pricing model, and you again pay with no upfront commitment. And of course, the minimum downtime, right? We spoke about live migrations and all of the tools we give, right, to migrate from anywhere you are to Google site. And one thing to highlight here, in 2018, we had a research by independent authority, like where they found out Google had the least downtime of all the public cloud vendors. And with last, I want to end on this with the innovation, right? We saw a lot of AI ML stuff and Google and SAP's trust on Google technologies like TensorFlow, the BigQuery, and also the other aspects, right? With this, I would like to hand over to Nehal from the DNB team. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Sahu. That was a very informative session. With this, we will now be moving to the most exciting part to start with of the gamification. Now is the quiz time. So let's gear up, everyone. As you can see on your screens, you'll have to log on to menti.com. So menti.com will open up in a new browser. All you have to do is go to a separate browser, type menti.com, which is displayed on your screens. That is MENTI, menti.com. A new page will open up. It'll ask you for a login code. The login code is again displayed on your screens, which is 636020. Let me repeat that for you, 636020. Once you log in with the login code, it'll prompt you to give your email ID. I would request each and every one of you to please log in with the official email ID that you have logged in for the session, used to log in for the session today. This will help us identify you and allocate the cloud miles accordingly. So let me just tell you the process once again. Go to a separate browser, type menti.com. It'll ask you for a login code. The login code is just going to be displayed on your screens again. So the login code, as you can see on the top of your screens, is 636020. I'll type that for you for in the chat icon as well. It'll ask you for an email address. I would request each and every one of you to please mention your official email address so that it'll help us identify you and allocate the cloud miles accordingly. I have entered the login codes for all the attendees and all the panelists as well. I would request all our attendees and all our speakers to please go to menti.com, put the login code and your email address so that we can start the quiz soon. So in the meantime, all of you are joining, let me tell you, there will be questions, different questions that will be displayed on your screens. Each question will have 25 seconds to be answered. Each question will have 3 to 4 options to choose from. You'll have to answer quick and answer right. So answer fast and answer right to be on top of the scoreboard. Following this, let me remind you, there will be a poll also that will be running somewhere in between the sessions. So please be mindful, and it is mandatory to take part in the poll as well. I see a lot of you have already joined in. We'll give it last a few seconds, last say 30 seconds before we start the quiz. So one last time, in case you have not yet logged in, go to a separate browser, type menti.com, put in the login code, which I have posted in the chat icons. You can open your chat icons or see the screen. Let me read it out for you. The login code is 636020. 636020. It'll prompt you for your email ID. Please type the email ID that you have used to log in for today's session. It'll help us identify you and allocate the cloud miles accordingly. Okay, I see a few of you are still joining in. I'll give it a little more time before we start the session, the quiz basically. So I see, a couple of you have just put it on the chat icon. What you're not able to open. I have put the menti.com link in your chat boxes. I would request you to directly click on the link, and it'll take you to a separate browser. The moment it takes you to to a separate browser, it'll be a little slow depending on your internet connection. You'll just have to wait for a couple of seconds. You'll have to enter the login code, which is 636020, and it'll ask you for your email address. Please mention your correct email address or your official name in that case. It'll prompt you for your email or your name. So please mention your complete name so that we can identify you, or your official email address so that we can identify you and allocate the correct cloud miles. Another say 15 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, and we shall start the quiz. So those who have not yet joined in, I would request you all to please quickly check your chat boxes. Click on the link that I have pasted there, which is menti.com. Log in with the login code, which is displayed on your screen, 636020. Enter your official email ID or the name. It'll prompt you for your name or your official email ID. So please do enter it correctly. Okay, with this, let's start the quiz now. I see a lot of you have already joined in. In fact, yeah. With this, let's start the quiz now. So remember, 25 seconds, and answer right and answer fast. So the first question is, Dash is a marketing technique used to rebrand old products by connecting them to the cloud. 4 options on your screen, 25 seconds. Remember, answer fast and answer right. Dash is a marketing technique used to rebrand old products by connecting them to the cloud. And let's see what is the right answer. The right answer is option B, that is cloud washing. Good start. Never mind, a few of you might not have got the chance to answer fast. Let's move on to the next one. Dash is a piece of physical hardware that hosts virtual machines. 4 options on your screens. Let me repeat that question for you. Dash is a piece of physical hardware that hosts virtual machines. 4 options. Remember, answer fast and answer right to be on top of the scoreboard. Now let's see which is the right answer. And the right one is option, that's option D, that is host machine. Never mind, you will still get a few more chances. We have a few more questions coming up for you. So moving on to the next question. What is SuperCloud? 4 options on your screens. 25 seconds. Remember, answer fast and answer right. What is SuperCloud? And let's see what is the right answer. The right answer is option A. Quite a few of you, never mind. We have a few more questions. Don't get demotivated. A few more questions, you can make it up. All you have to do is answer fast and answer right. Fourth question, live migration to a cloud involves dash. 4 options coming up, 25 seconds. Live migration to a cloud involves dash. Remember, answer fast and answer right. You can still come up on the scoreboard. A few more questions to go. And 3, 2, 1. Let's see what is the right answer. The right answer is option B, downtime of few milliseconds. Great going, everyone. With this, we move on to the next question now. Answer fast to get more points. The network layer block consists of dash. 4 options on your screen, 25 seconds. The network layer block consists of dash. Let's see the right answer on your screens. And the right one is option D, that is connectivity. Wow, this was a game changer question, I'm sure. With this, let's move on to the next one. And the next question is on your screen. Which is the standard for interoperable cloud-based key management? 4 options on your screen. Now 18 seconds left. Let me repeat that for you. Which is the standard for interoperable cloud-based key management? 4 options on your screen to choose from. And 4 seconds left. Let's see what is the right answer. And the right one is option A. Key Management Interoperability Protocol. Okay, we have the leaderboard, and let's see who topped the chart. Congratulations, Bill. He was the fastest. Simba and Hustler and Bill again following them. Congratulations to top this particular quiz. There are certain cloud miles allocated to you. Let me remind you, you have an opportunity to earn more cloud miles by asking relevant questions, sharing views and comments in the chat box, and asking relevant questions in the Q&A section, please. These will be taken up in the Q&A session that is scheduled for after the panel discussion. Thank you so much for participating in this quiz with us. With this, may I now invite Mr. Tanu Tandon, Associate Vice President, SAP Practice, Cloud4C Services, to share his thoughts with us. Welcome, Tanu.
Hi, Nehal. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Let me know when you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, we made you the presenter, and yeah, now we are able to see your screen.
All right. Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar. I hope you and your families are staying safe during the current pandemic. Preetham shared some great insights on why you should choose Google Cloud Platform for hosting your SAP workloads, and I couldn't agree more. However, I'll just take a step back and just give you a perspective that why SAP needs to run on a smarter cloud, why we're discussing so much about it. See, today industries like e-commerce have revolutionized the way the digital customer experience is. Now, if you buy a 1 lakh rupees iPhone or a 150 rupees keyboard, you get the same tracking details, you get the same dispatch details, you can track it, where it is, when it is going to get delivered. So the digital customer experience is seamless and uniform, irrespective of the value of the product. Similarly, today industries and organizations use real-time analytics, combining the demand generation, and the consumer sentiment analysis, running it with the feedbacks, and decide on the next course of action and launch a particular product. What's common between these two pictures and two pieces is the ERP. ERP has been the forefront of any organization's digital transformation journey. And when I say ERP, SAP has to be used synonymously since they hold the largest market share across the world. And when it comes to India specifically, 47% of the ERP workloads use SAP in some or the other form. And this is a statistic given by DataQuest. Right? So digital transformation and ERP modernization go hand in hand. However, how do you keep up with the latest technology trends on your old aging infrastructure? How do you keep up with your ever-changing and transforming security landscape, right? And finally, there is an announcement that SAP made that by 2025, your R3 and your ECC will cease to get supported, and you have to transition to S4 HANA, right? So at this point, I just want to run you quickly through a poll that DNB will just display on the screen. Just help me fill the same. Yeah, so the poll question is, where are you in your S4 HANA migration journey? The options are, you're already on a greenfield environment, you are 3 to 9 months away, 10 to 18 months, and if you're satisfied with the current ERP setup, please fill up T. So we have 30 seconds remaining. All right, I can see some numbers moving here and there. We'll give a couple of seconds more. Last 10 seconds remaining. Yeah. So Nehal, can we get the results here, please?
Certainly. Just a minute. Sumit will be displaying the poll results. Yeah, there it is.
Exactly. So that is what I was expecting, right? Though the announcement by SAP is for 2025, and a lot of organizations, will be pretty content, but that still doesn't answer or support the fact that you still have to keep up with the technology trends, and your old aging infrastructure has to be replaced by every refresh cycle, right? And at the same time, we are talking about your organization taking a digital transformation journey, right? And with this, you have to, and the main aim of the digital transformation journey is to free up your internal IT resources so that you can focus on your core service, right? So we did a lot of analysis and research with various customers right, and various industry leaders, and we came up with the integrated offering, which is Switch to Cloud. Now, Switch to Cloud is a integrated managed services offering from Cloud4C, which takes care of your move, migrate, and transform, which Preetam was discussing just a few minutes back. So herein, what we do is we understand your SAP landscape, right, and do a discovery and devise a landing zone and a roadmap for your lift and shift migration, right? Once you are migrated to GCP, then what we do is we understand and analyze your SAP landscape through various tools such as Solman or Efren. This will give you an end-to-end analysis of where you currently are, what your landscape versions should be, right? And where you can move and how much of productivity increase and reduce TCO you could get, right? All this can be topped up with a flavor of taking the transformation journey along with Cloud4C, as we have a great insight and experience on handling S4 HANA conversion, both from a technical and application standpoint, right? And what it means for you is you get a reduced TCO, right? Wherein, because you're integrating all the solutions under one bucket and leveraging GCP platform, right? Which anyway has the flexibility of a per minute or a per second billing, right? And has custom SKUs that are certified. And in combination to that, what Cloud4C does is once you are migrated or you are onboarded on the GCP platform, our team does the analysis of how you are running your SAP landscape and advise you on various optimizations in terms of your switching from a higher SKU to a lower SKU. All this is done as an end-to-end managed services platform. What it also means for you, and I keep emphasizing on this much, is since this is an integrated offering, you're getting a single platform level of SLA, which means Cloud4C will commit on paper that we will give you an SLA of up to 99.9% on your SAP application login level. And when I say login level, it means that we will be responsible till you are able to see the SAP logon GUI. Yes, SAP logon GUI, right? How we are able to do this, right, is because we have invested a lot of efforts in the research of how this model works, at the same time offering you a reduced TCO and a faster GTMS through our robust reference architecture. So as I was speaking about this reference architecture, a lot of efforts has gone into doing a lot of research on this. And what we have come up with is a management VPC, right, which you can see on the left-hand side, and the Google and the customer side of the VPC. Herein, all your present landscapes, including your web dispatcher, your databases, be it HANA, be it Sybase, or be it any other databases, right? This will be hosted. What we have also done is to add a security wraparound, we have segregated the non-production and the production subnets into two different subnets, so that the security and the landscape planning could be maintained, right? And if you can see on the left-hand side, as you can see on the top left-hand side, we are using Solman, which serves as a single source of truth, and will be used extensively as a system improvement and a system development plan for your whole SAP landscape. And it will be responsible, and Cloud4C will be doing a end-to-end application, your SAP basis lifecycle management from this particular tool, right? As I was speaking, and Preetam was also emphasizing, that security is one of the main concern when somebody takes or wants to take a decision on moving their workloads to cloud. Here, as I told you, that we are doing a security wraparound of this particular SAP landscape by using PIM tool, so that concerned persons only get access based on the RBACs, right? Their screen sessions and everything is recorded, right? To top it up, we also do a quarterly VA and PT exercise, right? And your servers will be installed with the industry leaders on the HPSs. So all in all, in nutshell, this is an integrated offering. Therein, you just have to share your SAP landscape and discovery exercise, and rest of it will be delivered and managed by Cloud4C, leveraging the Google Cloud Platform. And some of the native advantages of Google Cloud Platform come in handy, which are live migrations, which means that there will be a minimal downtime when you are migrating your applications from on-prem on any other hyperscalers to GCP. Even in case of an outage, there will be a minimal downtime. What we are doing to further optimize and ensure that there is highest level of uptimes is Cloud4C uses a lot of a lot of automation tools, such as what Preetham was mentioning, infrastructure as a code, right, for your GCP deployments. And for our OS templates and SAP landscape deployment, we use a lot of tools like Terraform and Ansible extensively, so that there is minimal human intervention, right, and a faster GTM for your SAP rollout, right? Right. At this point, I would just like you to go through the second poll of the day. Can we have the second poll, please? Yeah. So this particular poll is just to assess whether you would be interested to engage with us for transitioning or identifying a path for your S4 HANA. Yeah. We have 30 seconds more. I'm interested to see the results of this particular poll. Last 15 seconds. Last 10 seconds. Can we have the poll results, please?
Yes, the results will be on your screens now.
Wow. I'm happy seeing these results. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, jokes apart. So as I was telling you more, that we could engage with you from not only from a technical landscape discovery assessment, as well as how to move your landscape to the latest versions of SAP, but we could also engage with you in understanding your business functions and do the whole S4 migration and transformation journey for you, right? So how we are able to do this and why we feel that you should opt, and how it works best with Cloud4C is, today we have an experience of delivering more than 250 success stories for SAP HANA, right? And when I say SAP HANA, these are just SAP HANA alone. If I talk about traditional ECC, this number may be more than 400 plus, right? And this we have not only done for India, we have done this in various parts of the globe. And when I say various parts of the globe, it's close to about 40 plus locations spread across 25 countries is where our success is seen in terms of SAP deployment, right? How we are able to do this and how we're able to achieve the maximum ROI for the customers and reduce TCO for the customers is that we use a lot of automation, which means there is minimal human intervention and zero human error, near zero human error. And we follow a shared delivery model wherein a majority of the heavy lifting is done by our backend and the delivery team. And to give you a perspective, out of the 2,200 employees that we have within Cloud4C and Controllers umbrella, 1,800 of them are deployed in the service delivery. So which means 80% of 80% of your sorry, close to about 80% of this one is done by automation, right? So how we're able to give you the industry-wide uptime is that we are using a lot of proprietary tools, right? And these proprietary tools are, some of them are homegrown, some of them are cloud native, right? Like Google Stackdriver getting integrated, or we are using a lot of SAP own tools such as FRun or SLO, like that, right? Right. So uh, and I was telling you about, you could integrate your non-SAP workloads, right, along with SAP, right, which means a lot of industries. Is my voice breaking, Nehal? Is it fine now?
It's fine, Tanu, it's fine.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So as I was telling that, a lot of SAP workloads get integrated with non-SAP workloads, such as industries use a lot of content management software such as OpenText, and e-commerce industries use a lot of Hybris Commerce, or other commerce platforms, which need to be integrated with SAP, right? So you could do all this, and Cloud4C will again offer you this on a managed services model, right? And again offer you an SLA till the application login level, right? Right. With this, other applications and other landscape that integrate a lot with the SAP landscape is, which Preetham was mentioning, that if I want to do a real-time analysis and integrate this with Google BigQuery, right? We have offering called as SAP Data Hub, right? And SAP Data Services, which could be used to integrate your feed coming in from HANA, as well as feed coming in from other sources like Google BigQuery. All this will be deployed on an integrated model, and this will be a seamless delivery for your organization, right? And apart from this, I was telling you about, we could deliver information management applications such as OpenText, which integrate very closely with SAP, right? And if you are looking for moving your other workloads that needs to be in close correlation or in close location with SAP, we could do the workload modernization and DC modernization for the same, right? All this, all this could be wrapped around with our strong suite of managed security services, right? And we are one of the few in the cloud and managed service provider industry which have the stringent compliances such as HIPAA and IRAP in Australia, right? And apart from this, if you're looking for any industry cloud framework such as bank in a box, insurance in a box, it works on the same model, right? It works on the same model as ERP. There are robust references architecture. So you just need to bring your CBS, and through the API integration, we could offer this service, on a cloud model, right? And if I speak about, if we are in the current pandemic, if I don't speak about workplace modernization, right? Organizations have approached us during this during this pandemic for their virtual desktop offerings. We could do this we could do this as well for your organizations, right? And lastly, uh, we are also in the roadmap of developing our story around the automation and the robotic process or automation, or the business transformation or the business process automation. And we are anyway deploying this, we are anyway using and leveraging some of these technologies in our delivery as well as operations. And what we have seen as part of the results are that we have seen almost 80% drop in the tickets which were unaccounted, or settled for, right? These were not uh, we have seen that drop of around 80%, right? And we could do the same for your organization as well. At this point, I just want you all to go through the third poll, right? Can we have the third poll, please? Right. So this is pretty simple. If you have done any automation in your organization, either in the IT service delivery or in the business processes, you could just fill it. Right. Meanwhile, I'll just run you through the other part of the things, which is, we also have the capability to do a lot of data modernization, which means if you're running on traditional Oracle or SQL, right? We could do a DB modernization for you to run this or integrate this with MySQL, or you could use and manage your Postgres or MongoDB for your behavioral and sentiment analysis. All this could be offered. Yeah. So you have the results out, and I could see that a lot of you have automation implemented in the IT services and business processes both. Okay, great. So with this, I'll just move to the one of the case studies that we recently closed, with one of the customer with one of the implementation partners, and where we are leveraging GCP. This is for GETR. Now, GETR is an implementation partner, right? It's based in South, right? His end customer was looking for a greenfield project, and the customers has almost decided on going on-prem and investing on a capex, right? We stepped in and we pitched in our GCP and hyperscale theory. With this, we engaged about just 1 month before the actual decision was made. We discussed about how you will deploy the infra on GCP. We discussed about all the pros and cons of both the options, right? In terms of investment versus the capex versus opex, and the delivery timelines, and go to market and the uptimes, right? After this, we showed them the advantage of a faster GTM, right? And what we also did was we also told them that since this is cloud, this is completely scalable and agile. So today you don't need to plan for the next 5 years. You could start small, since this was a greenfield deployment, right? You could start small, and you can grow from there and pay for what you are consuming, right? So all this was done, and we showed them a TCO saving of 40% vis-a-vis their on-prem environment, along with a performance benchmark that came as a USP leveraging GCP and Cloud4C. And the long story short, the customer opted for the Cloud4C managed services, and today this customer is deployed, and their managed services and basis portion is handled by us, and he's content, and he can now focus on his core services while we are doing the heavy lifting for their SAP environment, right? And now these are some of the other references, right? And some of the stats about us. So we have close to about 2 petabytes of managed HANA, and this is just the HANA piece I'm talking about. 2 petabytes of HANA is being currently managed by Cloud4C. And if I talk about our skill set on SAP, we are certified on all the 4 aspects, which are the application managed services, the cloud, the HANA operations, and the hosting services, right? And today, Cloud4C boasts of 3,500 customers across the globe, including 60 of the Fortune 500, right? And if you can see, interestingly, SAP themselves are our customers, right? Their HANA Enterprise Cloud offering, right, is currently being managed and served by Cloud4C in many parts of the world. And globally, we are the largest premium supplier for this particular service, right? Apart from this, if I talk about verticals, right? If I talk about verticals, at least 2 of the 5 industry leaders are hosted with Cloud4C. If I talk about banks, 3 of the top 5, right? If I talk about media, then 2 of the top 5 media companies, and same goes for car manufacturers and M&D and the pharma industry as well, right? This particular slide talks about our presence across the world, which I was talking to you about, just a few minutes back. That we have the local presence, right, across these regions, right? And some of the near shore and onshore projects where you feel a local presence is something that is a game changer, or it's a mandate. we could engage with you and help you in taking the journey for the same. With this, I hand it back to the moderator. Nehal, over to you. Thank you. And I'm happy to have any questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tanu. That was a very informative and a very relevant session for today's businesses, which I'm sure a lot of the delegates have a lot of key takeaways, and there are a couple of questions that we'll be taking up for sure. So with this, now let's move on to the most awaited knowledge sharing and interactive session, the panel discussion. The discussion is around the topic Run SAP on a Smarter Cloud. And we have some very interesting names here. The session will be moderated by Mr. Vivek Sharma, Senior Domain Specialist, Dun & Bradstreet, India. Our first panelist is Mr. Aseem Gupta, Head SAP Services Sales, Cloud4C Services. Thank you, Mr. Aseem Gupta, for joining us. Following him is Mr. Saurav Das, Chief Information Officer, SL Mining and Industries Limited. Thank you, Mr. Das, for joining us. We also have with us Mr. Nankishore Dhomne, VP IT and Chief Information Officer at Manipal Health Enterprises. Thank you, Mr. Dhomne, for joining us. Please also, join me in welcoming Mr. Devang Badiani, Deputy General Manager, HDFC Limited. Thank you, Mr. Badiani, for joining us. And we also have Mr. Tushar Vagal, Head IT, Larsen & Toubro Realty, who's on the panel with us. Thank you, Mr. Vagal, for joining us. With this, we shall start the panel discussion now. I would request all our panelists to please come on video. Over to you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you, Nehal. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible, Nehal.
Yes, you are.
You're audible.
Thank you. After going through two presentations, one from Mr. Preetham Sahu and another from Mr. Tanu Tandon, we got a lot of insights. So let me have the first question, which is around the concept or around the topic that they focused on. So I will start with Mr. Saurav, and I would like to get his views on how can organizations running on SAP plan their journey to cloud. So if you can share your thoughts on this question.
Sure. We have heard a lot about cloud, but I wanted to go a little unconventional and present my understanding on this topic. So I want to present to you what I call it the cloudy story. We have all heard this small little story about, 6 blind men touching the elephant and saying what it is. So now if we just transform it forward, instead of the element in today's world, if you are talking about cloud, and if you are looking at different people and how they're looking at it, and all of us can relate because all these people are there in everyone's organization. So for the IT infra head, for example, so he might feel that outsourcing operations, no more hardware refresh, all those things are gone. For the IT manager, for example, he might feel that it's an upgrade from the old server room, then to the data center, which he has lived for maybe a couple of decades, and now that's gone, and now it's the cloud. For the finance person, they might see that, okay, it's a capex to opex, and maybe it's cost effective. I mean, that's a big thing. For the applications, obviously, they feel that it's accelerating their digital journey. I can just do a pick and choose. It's not about the typical implementation cycles and things like that. For the user, obviously, the expectation is I'll get an enhanced user experience. For the CIOs, they feel that it's a scalable and robust, in terms of different availability zones, managed services. So if something goes wrong, I mean, I don't need to wake up in the middle of the night and go to my thing. I mean, it's a managed service, so someone else is there. I mean, the whole team is there to take care. And for the business head, possibly there is a thing that, welcome to the cloud club. So I just wanted to present to you this story that what, in my understanding, different people feel like. Therefore, now coming to your question, which you said that, what is it that people can organizations running on SAP, how do they plan their journey to the cloud? So in order to plan, I think it's very important to understand that what is my requirement, what is it that I am looking for it. I mean, cloud has so many things to offer. There is no second thoughts on it. I mean, quite a few of the things we have heard from our previous presenters. But what is important is what is it that I am looking for from it, and how does it help me in that? So I think that's the way to plan.
Thank you for that story was really interesting. So now I'll move to Mr. Tushar and like to have his views on the same question. And I will repeat it for you, sir, which is how can organizations running on SAP plan their journey to the cloud?
Okay, so my opinion is the cloud was always there. Okay, since the late 90s, the cloud has been there, but the bandwidth was not available. That was a big problem which was there. Hence, corporates put up their own servers, own data centers. But today that has gone away. Okay, but still we have the fear. So I propose to everybody that please go in a hybrid mode. Okay, something on premise. At least have the DR on the cloud. Then you can make the DR as primary. Okay, then you can also upgrade on the cloud, and then you can have a stretch cluster and do marshalling. In the sense, it can exist in both the locations, like the bank. In the banks, the servers do exist. When the network connectivity is there, it syncs back to the main thing. Okay, so you have to have a stretch cluster. It can happen. Then this whole discussion will go away about on-premise or cloud, because both the database are in sync. Okay, and there's no issue. So again, I would say the cloud was always there. I started my journey on the cloud in 1997. I first launched a site called alibag.com on an Indian Express server in India. Okay, so it was always there. VSNL had, MTNL had, everybody has servers on the cloud. So it's just wine, like old wine in new bottle. Okay, the difference is the bandwidth. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, another interesting aspect that comes very frequently, and I'd like to put second question to you related to that. We have heard a lot about data and its significance, and, you know, some of the interesting statements which come with that, like data is the new oil and data creates the differentiation between two companies' performance and all that. And also the role of analytics, which is often highlighted these days. So your thoughts on this particular question, which is the next one from my side. So how can deploying SAP on Google Cloud help in aggregating data from various sources and drive analytics?
So sorry to say, but what has happened is in the last few years, the SAP Business Warehouse, okay, has lost its shine, because Business Warehouse is not up to mark. Okay, we cannot change a 3D model, okay, of a Business Warehouse that effectively very fast. That is why data lakes were born. Now, if I move to the cloud, then I have a data lake. If I have a data lake, then I can mix my structured data with unstructured data, okay, which is there across the whole organization. So I can merge both the structure and unstructured. I can use BigQuery for analytics. I can use TensorFlow for ML clouds. I can do eKYC. eKYC is very, very important. And lastly, I can do AI for prediction. Okay, I can correlate data of my ERP for my planning, for my inspection, for my document management, for my Salesforce, and all such applications. I can merge the data and do wonders. Okay.
Right.
So I firmly believe that the ERP should be on the cloud and take benefit of all these things which you can build.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you for that. Now let me bring Mr. Nand Kishore and get his views on a different but an interesting question, which is what are the factors to consider while shifting SAP to cloud? So if you can share your views on this, Mr. Nand Kishore.
We can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible
Yes.
now.
Sorry for that. Well, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nand Kishore and I head the IT for Manipal Hospitals. And I would like to thank everyone and the organizer for the opportunity given to me to present my company's SAP landscape here. So thanks once again. So coming back to the question, if you ask me, what are those expectations, or what are those situations in which probably we would like to move to the cloud, right? So just to give you a kind of gist of what we have in Manipal is that I have a SAP which is running there for almost I think 9 years, and there are 2 modules basically we are using, and pretty much it's an on-premise kind of environment. That is SAP 6.0 currently, PHP 8. Well, we haven't really thought of moving to the cloud with an immediate effect per se, but then yes, there is a plan given the situation that the support will not be there after a couple of years for this particular version. Now, having said that, if you ask me what are those factors which would essentially are important for us to consider before moving to the cloud platform. Before that, also I was going through a couple of studies, and then if I have to refer to one of the Forbes studies, and they have said that 83% of the enterprise workload will migrate to cloud by the end of 2020, and already we are in 2020, right? So probably it may be plus or minus 1 year happen. Now, the important factors, if I have to kind of consider for this kind of migration, definitely I will have to first of all understand my scope of my SAP environment, the business expectations, okay, what kind of support I need, what kind of environment I have in Manipal. So that's one important parameter, right? Then along with that, definitely there would be a kind of technical scoping, okay? How much computing power I need, what's the kind of storage I need, right? That is more on the technical aspect. What is the kind of bandwidth, the network requirement, the support requirements, the SLAs, all that thing. So I will have to define a strategy in terms of what is that I need to fulfill my business expectations, right? After that, I would perhaps move to the entire assessment of the cloud platforms, which is first private cloud, public cloud, or a hybrid kind of option there. So that would be probably the next component for me to understand. The another component then comes in is the cost, and this is a very, very important component. Here is where probably a lot of things go wrong, right? So when we do the cost estimates, or when we define the cost templates for any organization, right, to understand what would be your cost, total cost of ownership to manage or to run the show for the next, let's say, 5 years. Because it's more of a long term. It's not 6 month or 1 year kind of affair. So when I say TCO, definitely there is a one-time cost, there is a running cost, there's a license fees, there is the integration cost, there's a support cost by SAP, support cost by the SAP partner, and there could be quote unquote some hidden cost or on actual stuff like that. So as a CIO, I would like to understand all the cost components before I make any decision on this. Then comes the next component, which is how do you find, how do you evaluate a reliable cloud solution provider, right? So that's the very next and important component. So we can have, there are a couple of other service providers. So we'll have to really evaluate who is the best suit for my, best fit for my kind of business requirements. Another is now the time. So when you migrate, when you go from your on-premises to cloud kind of environment, there are implementation timelines, there are data migration, there are testing components, there are training, the internal staff requirement, all those kind of things, transitioning. Then you will have to really prepare the risk mitigation plans, okay? And also plans, the fallback options and unexpected budgets, budget fluctuations. So all those components I'll have to clearly, define. The next component is the security component, and which is normally for all the organizations, when they say cloud, the first thing, your CEO or CFO is going to ask you is, are we secure, right? I'm sure all the, organizations like Google, they have very much, very much secure platforms they provide. However, still as a CIO, as an organization, that concern is still there. So I would definitely get more into the security aspects of this whole thing, where the data is being hosted, whether it's in India, in India? How do we access it? Whether it is compressed, secure, or not secure? Which standards are implemented? All that kind of stuff.
Okay, okay, okay.
Then comes to the contract, one more component, and then I'm done with the answer. And then comes the contracting, element in this whole scenario. See, end of the day, you know what? When you discuss, a new project and you are engaging with, service provider, it's like a honeymoon period, a new marriage. So everything is all good, right? But then when it becomes a post-marriage scenario, when you have to manage the entire relationship for the next 5 years or 6 years, it is always essential for us to define very clearly all the components of that contract. Okay,
Understood.
the scope
Yeah.
component, the support component, it may be the cost component, the exit clauses, the renewal clauses. And what I have seen is that I had a couple of these cloud-based contracts with some organization. The issue was that when you want to part ways, and that too when you want to part ways for convenience, not as a natural termination of the contract, and that is where the issue comes. So the clauses with respect to termination for cause or termination, for convenience. How do you handle those kind of scenarios, right?
Understood.
And there is also a lock-in with a lot of these service providers. So understand, define, agree on those things, and have a sign off on this entire, construct of the contract, and run that through the legal, things. And also
Yeah.
one more important factor there is that when you're doing the contracting, also account for situations like the present COVID situations, the pandemic situations, the force measures, right? How do we handle that? The support during these periods. So I think overall these are various factors I would keep in mind
Right.
when I have to plan my journey from on-premise
Understood.
to cloud-based environment.
Yeah, thank you for that elaborate explanation of what are the, what are the factors to be considered. Now let me bring Mr. Devang to get his views on a question which is very frequently asked, and I would like Mr. Devang to share his thoughts with us on what are the benefits of migrating applications to the cloud. So if you can share your thoughts there, sir. Mr. Devang,
Bad
if you can
connection
hear
there.
me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So basically, the top three that are very obvious to all the members here would be the cost, scalability, and security. To start with the cost elements, be careful with the cost elements because if you do an apple-to-apple migration, that won't work actually. You need to
Right.
leverage the cloud-based services in order to improve upon that.
Right.
And the security are quite obvious. Apart from the elements of the security, cost, then we come to the scalability element. It's quite obvious that based on the cloud elements, the scalability is very easy to achieve. But the most important part that one should understand is that the ability to is much better and easier in the cloud arena.
Right.
The various services which are available in the cloud that allow you to innovate and bring various stack of innovation, stack of technologies together.
Right.
And nowadays the ecosystem of the vendors have also increased a lot. So we have solutions and people. Basically, the vendors are ready with integration with AWS, integration with Azure, GCP, etc. This ecosystem has now matured to a level. Maybe 5 years back, you would not know. And rightly, as Tushar said, the cloud was existing 10 years back, Salesforce was there 10 years back, but it was not in this current form. And as we move forward, maybe after 10 years or 12 years, even this will change further. And you will see multi-cloud, hybrid clouds. Today, you will see multi-cloud and the tools evolving in order to manage this multi-cloud environment. One of them is today provided by Google. So that's about it.
Okay, so any thoughts on any preparation that will be required in terms of human resource training or cultural shift that you will have when you adopt cloud? Your thoughts on that also? You like to add something to that, or you feel that that's something not very material?
No, it is definitely in any case. If you see, the minute you go to cloud, or if you will see the expectation rise of the management completely. I'm
Correct.
sure the CIOs of in the forum and as well as CIOs of the world would see the challenge the minute they go to the management that this, we are doing it in cloud. Okay, so how soon are you expecting? Maybe a week, 2 weeks. So that kind of sometimes the expectation, wrong expectation is set, and it is the mindset that each of these elements, along with cloud, we have to adhere to, especially the compliance elements, because I don't think many of the cloud service providers are geared up for Indian companies.
Okay.
These are the elements which still need that understanding and detailing to overcome and ensure that we are on the right side of the law, as well as in terms of the skill set, as you were asking. The skill set nowadays, it is so diverse, and it will be very difficult for a business-based organization to keep on gearing, and it will be more hybrid partner ecosystem that will require some vendors to help us out, as well as some elements of in-house skill set have to be improved to manage these vendors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for adding that. That was really helpful. Mr. Tushar, if you like to quickly add your views to this particular question.
So basically, what I believe is that while migrating to cloud, you should think about data security and two-factor authentication. Okay, because as far as you're within the network, these factors are not that relevant. But the moment you're on the cloud, you require two-factor, which is a must for everything. The second thing is that the expertise of manpower at both the ends, on people who are going to manage it and also on the cloud. Okay. The third is about the APIs. Okay. But think of the APIs for connectivity. Okay. And of course, you require a data transfer appliance. If you don't have an appliance to transfer data from on-premise to the cloud, so that's a big issue. Otherwise, how do you transfer data on the cloud? Okay. So these things have to be considered. The cloud has to be selected.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Now I would like to bring Mr. Saurav Das and get his views on one question, which is what are the basic expectations from cloud platform when it comes to deploying business applications effectively? So, Mr. Saurav Das, please share your views on this.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, I think there are primarily three things that we should expect based on our recent cloud migrations. So I think number one is not just what is possible with the cloud. In the real world, what applies to me, I think that is very important to understand. I think cloud is it's an ocean kind of a thing, but the customized part, what really applies to me, that is very important to understand. So not just what's on offer, but what is it that I need or will be good for me. That is number one. Number two is, cutting the surprises. I think the cloud ecosystem is still maturing. So maybe if, cutting the surprises in terms of many things, I mean, so far in this conversation, some people talked about how to manage the billing, for example, and things like that, or even the migration. So that's the second thing. In fact, add to that, I would say, the other expectation is demystifying. I mean, if not just simplifying it, demystifying what's in there. I mean, however, it might sound, but there are a lot of aspects we are all still learning, and we are still trying to understand that, what's in there. And finally, the third thing is that, to explain this, I will tell you an analogy, small little experiment that was done. Maybe most of us have read it in our B-School books. To a set of people, a car was given without any features, base model. To another set of people, a car was given fully loaded version with all the things. And they were asked to choose that, whatever you don't take it out, and whatever you need, you add. And invariably, the people who are given the fully loaded version ended up picking much more options. So, and that's why possibly when today also we go and buy a card, they always show us the fully loaded version. So I think in the cloud analogy also the same thing happens. We always start with the fully loaded thing. I think we should start with the base model and then try to build with things which we need. I think that would, in my experience, give us much better. Yeah.
Mr. Nand Kishore, if you can add your views on this particular question.
Yeah, just repeat the question once again for me.
What are expectations from cloud platforms when it comes to deploying business applications effectively?
If I have to give my view on this, the basic expectations from the cloud platform and, of course, the service provider is that definitely there has to be certain certification standards, which they must follow of the global, kind of standard. That's very clear cut, well-defined technologies and this roadmap.
Okay. Fine. Now I will quickly ask one question to Mr. Devang and get his views on how does, my question was, what are the various modes of cloud migration and is there an ideal mode? So Mr. Devang, if you can share your views on this.
Basically, there is no particular, as Saurabh, just recently mentioned that you can start with the base model and move on. There is no particular clear-cut way in order which you need to do the migration to the cloud. Even I think Tushar sir touched upon it a little while back, where he clearly mentioned that maybe you can go with a first DR, then probably look at implementing the go with a hybrid cloud, and then slowly move on to the main cloud. But I think in addition to that, you can look at the solution piece of it. What does the exact objective want? Meanwhile, choosing the cloud service provider, you can look at the strengths and weaknesses of each provider. If you see the top three, which are the cloud service providers, each one is uniquely placed. Though one has a great edge over the other, but if you see some of the, like for example in GCP, the 1 second billing is quite an innovation.
Okay.
See such small instances of improvements and unique features which can help you. So if you are looking for, say, a big a data lake kind of scenario, then probably Google GCP is your right choice. Whereas if you are looking at the CI/CD pipeline, which needs to be closely integrated for your developers, probably Azure would be a good choice. So it's the solution, the business problem, the solution of it, and later on steps towards it, which will decide your way of migrating to the cloud.
Okay, thank you for that. Now I'd like to hear something from Mr. Aseem and put the first question to him, which is how important is cost optimization while you are on public cloud? Now this question very frequently comes. So Mr. Aseem, if you can help us understand this.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I think cost has been one of the key driving force for customers to think towards moving towards cloud. I think that was the key motivating factor. For me, there were two motivating factors. I mean, we have been seeing this migration to cloud for a good amount of time now. It's been approximately 15 years, I would say, or maybe more than that as well, where the whole migration towards virtualization and cloud kind of environment started taking place.
Right.
And that basically gave further birth to these kind of hyperscale kind of scenarios where you have Google, Amazon, and Azure. The whole driving force behind that was cost as primary factor. There's no need to keep the lights on all the time for for non-mission critical applications. And the second aspect of it was innovation and flexibility, and in terms of consuming an IT service and giving a business department, any business department of the company, to really consume IT service the way they want to. But I think the question obviously rolls around the cost optimization, so I'm not really going to go into the innovation side of the things. But yeah, especially in these pandemic times, I mean, even today, the key reason why Cloud4C, for that matter, has been quite really successful in the last 2 quarters as well. We have been winning a lot of deals lately, and the numbers have been rising. I think the key reason for us to really bring across some of the customers to us has been our cost-effective managed services and the migration services that we have. I think customers are looking forward for cost reductions for various reasons. And when it comes to the best practices of cost optimization, I think the key thing that they want is that their public cloud infrastructure spend goes down by at least 10 to 15% when they move to a new vendor. I think that's the basic question that they are always asking, that
Right.
how can you take our cost down, by 10 to 15% if we move into you as a service provider or as a partner. And we have obviously various considerations towards that. We can try to find out unused resources. We can try to identify and consolidate idle resources. We can utilize the heat map kind of concept to come up with a better cost optimization. We can right size the computing services as well. I mean, sometimes sizing is gone for a toss, and there are various factors that we apply for. So yes, cost has been one of the driving forces for customers to move towards cloud.
Okay. One more aspect which very frequently gets asked, and I would like to have your view, Mr. Asim, here also, that how important is it to consider security elements during workload migration?
Security, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah. So as far as security is concerned, security has a multi-dimensional aspect. There is an infrastructure security, there is a network security, there is an application security, and of course there are securities from a business continuity perspective as well. I think a lot has been spoken about the infrastructure side. I think the esteemed people from the side of Google, as well as our panelists, who are talking about various aspects of security in general. But since we're talking about the SAP world, I think the important aspect is also about making sure that the application security is not being compromised and the data security is not being compromised as well. I think it's of paramount importance to understand the usage data. By establishing a particular benchmark over there, you're creating a framework on which you build your whole new S4 environment. So you should be able to, you leverage the previous usage data, design the new environments to really meet the needs. Assessing that usage data and aligning to the retained, business processes is one thing, and then making the shift to fit to the S4HANA standard roles and authorize. There are standard S4HANA roles which come if a customer is moving to an S4HANA instance. There are standardized roles and authorizations which are coming in the new code. So really assessing that and converting into the new roles and fitting that over there is very important. Making that risk gap analysis and creating those mitigating controls is extremely important. And eventually when it comes to the user interface, the Fiori apps of SAP again have their specific roles and authorization adjustment requirement. So, it's a multifaceted approach. Obviously, the infrastructure and the network security is the key, but I think when you look at something like a Google Cloud, it's an extremely secure and very well managed and with the necessary security controls and the framework. So I think that part of the worry is kind of over, in my opinion, when customers are moving towards a brand like Google. But when it comes to managed services, when it comes to really making sure that data is secure, I think there are some checks and balances have to be put at the application and the user level, and that's what I would say it's extremely important again. Yeah.
So before I move to the audience question from audience participants, I have one final question for you, Mr. Asim, which is, what is your opinion on automation and where are you in implementation of it in your organization?
Okay, automation. Yeah, I think automation is the key buzzword these days. To be specific, I mean, it is still, again, it's not something which is new concept. It is something which has been existing for the longest period of the time. Like one of our panelists said, that cloud is not a new concept. I don't think automation is also a new concept. It is just that the achieving certain automation aspects have become easier because of advancement of technology. So it remains a key factor now because of the advancement of technologies. There are many business processes which customers can automate without putting too many people on the job. And that's one of the aspects again to reduce the cost. So again, we go back to the cost optimization point, which was my first question. But as far as my organization is concerned, I think we are really heavily into automation. We have automated file transfers. We have automated user provisioning to a large extent. There are a lot of reports which are being generated through an automated mechanism. The order entries and email automations are also existing with us. A lot of claims have to be done are automated. A lot of things are being automated. I think we as an organization are a relatively nimble and kind of lean organization which rely a lot on automation. And I think we try to create a reference for ourselves before we pass it on to the customers as well. So yeah, we basically are a highly automated company.
Okay, thank you for that. I will hand it over to Nehal for Q&A.
Sir, you can take up the delegate questions now.
Sure. Mr. Asim, if you can help us understand, we have a question. The question is, do we have, and this is asked by, sorry. Let me put the question first. Do we have complete ownership on what we host? And is there any means for Google to know what we host, since ours is of highly confidential geo data?
All right. I don't know whether I get the question properly or not, but definitely when it comes to hosting an SAP environment in a Google Cloud, customers are generally in complete control of their landscapes. And to the degree of which they are flexible, there are specific checks and balances which can be put, which makes an isolated environment available for them. So yes, I think they, from the way we see it, they are in complete control. Even while hosting on a Google Cloud and leveraging a company like Cloud4C for managed services, they remain in full control of having an ownership of their data.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you for that clarification. One more question which has come up is which tools you are using on HANA migration, and how to analyze the required load on new server against the current running server. So if you can also share your thoughts here.
So for HANA migration, we use standard SAP tools. One of them is called the DMO tool. There are other tools available in the market as well, which we continue to use quite regularly, simply because there are opportunities where customer needs a selective data migration. It does not happen in one single go. So like SAP has got an SLO technology, which is called System Landscape Optimization Technology. We also have partnerships with some of the certified SAP vendors in this space, such as CBS Consulting, SNP. There are other ones as well. So primarily the DMO tool is used, but in exceptional cases, we would use some other SAP certified partner tools for selective data transitioning as well.
Okay, thank you. Nehal, I think we had these questions and I have already asked Mr. Asim. So I'm handing it back to you for further proceedings.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. A big thank you to you for summarizing the entire panel discussion and duly helping us in answering the relevant questions raised by our attendees. A special thank you to all our speakers, opening and panel speakers. Truly valuable takeaways from this session. Thank you so much. With this, we bring today's virtual conference to a close. Today's session wouldn't have been a success without the active participation of all our esteemed speakers, panelists, and delegates. With this, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking out time and being a part of this virtual conference today. A special thanks to Google Cloud and Cloud4C for their support in this initiative, without whom this conference wouldn't have been possible. Before we, part, I would just want to, tell you about the free workshop that Cloud4C has, will be giving. So you may reach out to Cloud4C team at globalsales@cloud4c.com. That is displayed on your screens. I'll repeat that. For a free workshop, you may contact Cloud4C team on globalsales@cloud4c.com. With this, thank you so much once again, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.